Baie welkom by nog 'n uitgawe van Freedom to Trade. My naam is Hendro Kreer. Ek is die woordvoerder van kleinsakeontwikkeling in die parlement vir die DA. Ons plaasboere is sakemense in hulle eie reg. Die produkte wat hulle oes en aan verbruikers lewer is belangrik vir die mensdom se voortbestaan. En sonder die boer kan daar nie voedselsekerheid vir inwoners van Suid-Afrika wees nie. COVID-19 het menige boerderybedrywighede gewond en sukkel die boere om kop bo water te hou en staar onkeerbare verliese in die gesig. Wrede plaasmoede is aan die toeneem en bedreig die voortbestaan van elke boer en sy werknemers. Saam met my is Diane woordvoerder van staatssekuriteit in die parlement vir die DA, 'n baie goeie vriendin ook van my. En sy gaan vandag met ons gesels oor hoe ernstig hierdie probleem is en vir ons agtergrond gee wat die DA se plan is om plaasmoorde stop te sit. Diane, baie welkom en oor na jou.
Thank you for having me on your program. I want to tell you that at the beginning of the year, we were quite hopeful that the farm attacks would stay down. But the moment we started experiencing the lockdown, and the moment Beki Cele decided this was his moment to stop all farm patrols, then the attacks went up and up and up. One murder in April, right up to 56 farm attacks and 7 murders in June. I know it's been far worse in July, but we don't have the final figures yet. But we're looking at heading to 200 attacks so far this year. That's what the number we're heading up to. And if you, yes.
Carry on.
If you imagine that you're sitting at your house and you're earning a living by growing X, Y, and Z, or you're a cattle farmer, milk, meat, whatever it is that you do, your situation is so different to the situation of someone sitting in an office in a town. Because if you are attacked, number one, there are no police anywhere near you. They can take 3 to 4 hours to arrive at your rural residence, and you're on your own. You're basically on your own. Farmers have to look after farmers. Farmers have to look after their own families. And unfortunately, we have this situation where torture has become quite normal in these attacks. And frequently now, I'm hearing more and more frequently that when there is an attack on a farm, the farmer loses nothing. They don't take anything of value. They're simply there to do the damage to the farmer and the farmer's family. So frequently these attacks end in death. We just had an 80-year-old woman who was kidnapped and dumped over the Lesotho border, and they stood there discussing how they were going to kill her, and finally left her there at -5 degrees. But we've now discovered that there are very serious allegations that one of them was one of those released by the president, who said, oh, they couldn't possibly stay in prison because of COVID-19. So there are many issues at stake here, but I think the biggest thing is the fear on the part of our farmers and the farm workers who are at equal threat. I mean, don't think that a farm worker has any more of a chance of not being injured than anyone else, because they are equally killed, tortured, the most horrific things done to them, equally so. So it's not a race issue, it's not a white issue or a black issue, an Indian issue. We had a woman in KwaZulu-Natal on a farm had her throat slit in front of her children and husband. She was also pregnant. She died. So she was murdered on the farm. And so it's one's race, one's sex, one's age is irrelevant. You're in a rural area and you're at the mercy of people who want what you have, or there's another element that we don't quite understand. And that's why in our 16-point plan that we've just released in the last few weeks, one of the points is that we are asking around to see if one of the research institutions will redo the study on the attacks on farms and small holdings in rural areas to see what's behind it. You can't say it's because people are hungry when they come in and kill people and leave without stealing anything. Or they may pick up a cell phone on the way out the door. That doesn't sit right with me or anyone else. And so a whole new research study needs to be done to find out. And of course, there are many other things that we've included in this. In fact, today we launched a mass petition that will go through to the president, because of course it was the president who in 2018 announced that there were no farmers being killed in South Africa. Now in that year there were, I think, 34 killed. They were being killed as he was speaking. They've been killed in equal numbers since then. And one must understand that at the start of democracy, we had some 120,000 farmers in this country, and we're down to about 38,000. Now, I'm not suggesting for a moment they've all been killed. People fail at farming, they go bankrupt. It's a very, very tough job to have and to make a success of. So farms collapse. The drought has had a devastating effect on many farms and farmers. And so slowly but surely, the numbers have dwindled. And if we don't protect the people who are growing the very food that we eat, then what are we? That's I think, almost a philosophical question, but it has to be answered. So we need people to stand up. We took a decision to really haul this off the back burner onto the front line and to shove this problem into the faces of the ANC and say, stop it. Stop encouraging the murder of our farmers, and start giving equipment and manpower to the police stations in the rural areas, because currently they are under-resourced completely. And so, as I say, the police simply arrive as a cleanup crew after the fact, and that's just not good enough. Why should a farmer who works from 4:30 in the morning then have to go out at night and patrol to make sure that people aren't invading his property or her property in order to come and slaughter their family? It is an outrageous situation for anybody to have to live in. And we're trying to really shake the tree here. Let's just get the thing out there, get it onto the front pages, and to a large extent, I think we're being successful. We've also launched a rural safety court watching brief. Now they've done this for some time in the Western Cape, where of course we govern, and it's basically that a politician will stand next to the victim and assist them to the police station. People are often terrified to go to a police station. Assist them through that process, make sure they get a CAS number, make sure that they're told when the court date is. That's often not done. And the perpetrator who's been arrested, or alleged perpetrator, sits in court, and the magistrate looks around and there's no one to give evidence, and so they just let them go. And the police officer has failed to tell them to be in court. We've seen this happen. We have cases, one in particular of a DA councillor who is a farmer, and she was attacked and brutalized, and 5.5 years later, she still hasn't seen justice done. They know who did it, they have the DNA, but the alleged perpetrator fires the lawyer, says he'll be his own lawyer, says he can't be his own lawyer. He's playing games with the courts, who just seem to have chucked in the towel. Well, Glynis Breitenbach, Advocate Breitenbach, our Shadow Minister of Justice, is now on that case, and is really losing her temper about it, because if this is how she and a councillor are treated, imagine what someone without any connections to Parliament and those facilities that one has and abilities as a public representative, imagine how difficult it must be for those who have been attacked to try and see some sort of justice. Frequently, these days, they don't even bother. So monitoring police conduct, monitoring the courts, and of course, there are many other points amongst the 16 points where we are driving this fact that these attacks are hate crimes. That will, I believe, be supported by the research that will be done. But when one sees, and I have put through some 20, I think, in the last few weeks, vicious comments on various social media platforms. I hope you rape the children and burn them alive. Unspeakable things. And we've reported every one of those to the South African Human Rights Commission.
Diane, baie dankie.